Hi gang, Kathy Vick, Deeply Awake Chats 2017. Well, I want to talk to you today just briefly about this thing that I've been hearing about that I really like, that it's called the event. Some of you may know about the terminology. What I understand of it, I will explain. But I want to just sort of give a little backdrop. For those who have been following along, you know that I've been part of this movement, the ascension movement, and the training, and all that since the 90s. And then I fell fast asleep and lived my life. And then I started to awaken in a brand new way in 2012. And the teachers were back. That energy was back of ascension energy. So that's my story. When I was in training, I had a rather simplistic view of many things. One of the things that I understood that ascension was making a decision, having it come upon you, and having light become you. The physical body turns into light. After that, of course, you can be corporeal, you can look like anything, you can do whatever you want. Everything changes after that. That was my training. So I've always thought about this as a very kind of individual and personal thing. Something that isn't shared, but is an individual directive that comes from beyond and is agreed to, and then blooms like a lotus in one's life, in good time, in divine timing. So I figured eventually that's what would happen, and through my work you hear that. The idea of trotting onto a hill and turning into light. I did I believe it was a channeling quite a while ago, and it was talking about the first wave, which is another thing that I was trained in. During ascension, I was told that this isn't going as a normal ascension, but the normal ascension wave is there are three waves to an ascension. The first wave, those are the people who come in and break things up and loosen things up and apply their warrior skills and are the system busters and the first wave. The old souls, whatever you want to call us. Then there's a second wave. When the first wave is complete or has done the most that it can do, it reaches its apex, then the second wave activates. And the first wave joins the second wave to assist the third, which are the holdovers of the old energy. And everyone has free will, so those who want to remain in that energy and continue to war, you bet they can do that, but they're not going to be vibrationally compatible. It's not an energy that's compatible. And by choice, they can continue to go do that. Bye-bye. That's what I was taught. And then time passed. And things happened. And here we are. So you can see I've always thought of this more as an individual, personal, spiritual event. And that's really how my consciousness worked, because I didn't work in community, and I didn't have a compatriot or a partner. So this has all been in sort of an individual thing. Now, since 12, I have partnered with others who have assisted me in the esoterics and some of the things that are otherworldly. Until then, I would have inserts of teachers who I know I had agreed to work with at certain times in my life, and they presented, and I was ready and willing, and there you go. So this is a different time since 2012. And I keep hearing about, or I did at the beginning especially, this event where there would be our family, our galactic family, excuse me, there would be spaceships. Nasera was part of this, where there would be galactic assistance in financial matters and social matters. And there would be relief from this craziness given to us by our galactic families. And I really liked the sentiment. Even at 12, I really liked it. But I wrote an essay that was very scathing about the dangers of thinking this way. To me, it smacked of children who did not feel as if they could manage their reality and needed to be rescued. It smacked of powerlessness, magical thinking, deus ex machina, victimization, and being scooped up by a parent. And I didn't like it. I thought that most of our problems were because of having abdicated power to authority and parental figures, proxy parents, including what we do with our spouses. Always needing that parent around. Jesus. And now, I'm more firmly convinced that this mechanistic vision of communion and community and connection is really something to avoid. Just because I think that may be something that it's a ploy that is used, bait and switch kind of thing. But in any regard, it doesn't matter. I will say that, since that event that occurred to me in the park, I'm different. During that time, it's revealed in my last recording, I went and talked with some trees because, I think in the end they were calling to me. They wanted me to come, and I complied. And while I was in high ceremony with my friends, I turned my body to face that tree, and there was no space between my body and that trunk as I was doing my work. But at the time, and now as I visit it again, it was the most curious thing. Physically, I was holding that trunk. But what was happening to me as I looked down, and as I review it, is there was space between my body and that tree. And I physically saw this black and red cloud come from my body and exit it into that kingdom, into that trunk. I imagined and saw arms taking that for me. What I was told this morning about that is that it was a healing. It was a beautiful gift. And the reason I no longer have access emotionally to certain, usually highly distressing thoughts and thought patterns and thought groups and endeavors of others, it's not sticking. emotionally it's just not sticking. And they came in and explained it's because the magnetics which underpinned those thought patterns, those geometrics, has been released. There are neuronal grooves that remain. And so the thinking is, like habits. I may as well do this, it's easiest. However, those grooves, that habitual thinking, even that, I could see this like soft thing, and there was a groove, like a you could consider like a mattress or like a memory foam or something like that, and there was this groove. But then, because there's no magnetics pulling on it, over time it's going to get fluffy again. And I like that. It's like I'm released from whole endeavors emotionally and intellectually that seem to be very appropriate and are no longer so. They're just a waste of time. It's amazing. The event, I think that I mention it because that was a solstice gift. That was something that came after the solstice and during that whole solstice energy burst. And I think that the solstice was big for a lot of people. And of course, some people don't notice anything. That's fine. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to you. You're here for a reason. What was it like for you? Were your sleep patterns messed up? Were you able to eat? Were you really hungry? There are times when the energy is such that I cannot get enough to eat. I have to keep eating. So I don't know, what was it like for you? I'm curious. It's one of the reasons I post. So, as far as an event goes, the information I'm getting now, it's got nothing to do with aliens coming down and landing on the White House lawn and hauling out big, like trunks full of gold, saying, "Here, this is for the people who are not doing so well right now." And that's how simplistic those fantasies were in 2012. Hi, we're here to rescue you now because you're so dumb you can't figure it out, so here you go. Ew. No, it's not how it is. And 5 years later, I can attest to, I think, as a group, us getting much wiser, much deeper, much softer, and more serious. So, at this time, of course, I'm in trust, believing that everything that happens is for the highest good for all involved, in all ways, in gentleness to all parts of self, in all timelines. This is with every breath, my prayer. And knowing this, the confidence returns. Many things return. As I have been recording this morning, my face has continued to morph, and some of these faces are not human. So, I know it's a time of allowing and of letting things be and letting myself be. And I'm relieved with this healing, with the energy shifts, with all of us coming online, to not have to attend in fear and anxiety. The things that are going on politically that have to do with fractals that are indeed closing. It's as if a higher mind has kind of come online. And I'm reminded of things that are easy to forget when emotionally reacting to intentionally charged information, images, and data. It's not working anymore, in other words. The hypnotism. So here's what I think about the event. This is what I was told. I asked, won't you please just come? Because they are still channeling to me. They said, no. This is a human endeavor. This is a mixed, conscious endeavor. And it's perfectly fine to just express myself. What I understand is that this is inevitable. It's simple physics. It's simple physics. We are entangled. We are entrained. We are connected. There is a tone that only needs to get stronger. So I'll end this way. I had a vision or a channeling or whatever you want to call it a while ago explaining these waves. Those are the first wave. We left comfortable homes. We left loving embraces. We left normalcy, predictability, survival. As we stood up late one night, bent down and kissed our loved ones and said, thank you. I have to go now. I hope you'll understand that I love you. We walked, each of us, alone, grieving, excited. And as we walked, we stripped. Piece by piece, the clothing came off. As we walked, lines that seemed to glow, but were not visible. Lines that pulled our feet along. They, somehow knowing where next to step. And at dawn, each of us not appreciating this was anything but an individual act, stood naked on a hillside, arms and legs outstretched, with a smile, saying, I'm ready. And some of us have been waiting on that hill for decades. The thing is never was just one person walking onto a hillside naked. To the left, to the right, circling the globe, we stand. Perhaps it's just really finally feeling it, knowing it, trusting it, believing it, seeing it, something. We are connected. We are doing this work together right now. How wonderful to have become more and more and more connected through the years. But what is to come is, I think, nothing more than corporeal reward, corporeal confirmation of what we know to be true in our very bodies, in our DNA, in our hearts, that we're not alone, that there are peers all around us whose very existence lends us strength, dignity, courage, and joy. This is a neuronal pathway I'm glad I'm on. These are lines I glad I walked. And I love my hillside. Although, I can tell you, it's become pretty well populated. Yes, there are things left to do. There are things that I've done that are disappointing to me that I want to right. There are things that I haven't done that disappoint me that I want to do, to remove that sense of, I haven't done right by myself quite yet. But today it just seems like all of that can just lift off. It's trivial. It's details. The work is complete. It's okay to relax. It's okay to breathe deeply and smile. And I think, really, it's okay to anticipate miracles of which we're just getting a whiff of an aroma so intoxicatingly beautiful. Let us be that flower, each of us, so the whole world is encircled in a smell that eases the heart, clears the mind, allows the face to smile, reminds us of beauty and invisible strength, magic, of capabilities that lie within us that are dormant. Let us continue what it is we came here to do. Smiling, perhaps a little bit bolder now. It gives me the feeling that I get as a performer when I have nailed it. It's cold. I can do it. I can move that mountain on demand. But it's performance night. That's different. That's when it all comes together. I kind of feel that way. It's kind of neat to think that this might be happening. I want to review that long ago channel because it had something to do with us as a group realizing that none of us were doing this alone, and that all along we've been connected. It's one of the reasons that we've been able to do it. And by acknowledging this and celebrating it, realizing it, and sinking into it and owning it, the power that's available, it's magnificent. And it can't be abused because it's in the hands of people who have been. Who understand about dark and light, who understand about redemption and the divine beauty of the soul, regardless of chosen expression. With that, I leave you. I think this is quite beautiful. Therefore, I will be giving it away. Although it troubles me that people are not reading or watching very much, it doesn't trouble me enough to silence me. For those who are watching and reading, thank you. Today, I am that little canary who, rather than singing as the air is getting snuffed out, I'm the canary that sings at first light. I'm sitting on top of my cage, and if a bird could smile, I would be. Because crazily, by singing, with my talons gripping the cage from the outside, somehow I can hear all of my friends in all of their homes, caged or not. I never was alone. Thank you. Blessings to you this day and in all days, in all ways. Say it loud.